after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Dante.
Welcome to Beige Phillip. Leave a message at the beep.
Hello, please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Dante.
Welcome to Beige Phillip. Leave a message at the beep.
Hello, please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
You think you know about relationships, but you're wrong. Listen, there's no magic bullet. I'm teaching life skills.
When you sick, you need medicine. It don't always taste good. Nah, but it'll get you better. You need this medicine. Yeah. It ain't gonna always taste good, but this is what you need. Men and women, bottom line, we need to have the conversation. Your partner wants to give up control, but only if you know how to drive. This is about being the best you could ever be, whoever you are. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, LGBTQ, space alien. I'll save anybody. I don't care. I'll teach a hedgehog how to have a threesome.
What do you mean by that?
Look, you don't have to listen to me. You're wrong.
Listen, I don't agree. And I know you think I can like you. But you could be me, you know why?
Because you know who I was? Before I was me, I was you.
Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Better man. Well, put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't.
Yo. What up? What up? Come on, my people. GYBB, get your votes back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolution being podcasted. What's going on? Happy Sunday. Just trying to make sure the phones are up and phones are working. Looks like I got a little problem with them right now. First of all, let me shout out to everybody who's in the building, who's in the comment section. If y'all can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up if y'all can hear me. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, so the phone's working. That's good. It's me calling me. Thumbs up if y'all can hear me. Big shout. Kenny B. Xavier, what's going on? Brian Zoe. Salim Muhammad, 808 Presley. What's going on? We live. We live. We in the building. If y'all hear me clear, please put a thumbs up in the comment section. Put a thumbs up. The fucking bell worked. Not sure what that means. But oh, you hit the bell. Yes, the bell let you know that I was going live. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. If y'all hear me clear, please somebody give me a number one or a thumbs up just to let me know that y'all okay. Louis V, thank you. Um, just waiting for people to come in. Big shouts to anybody. LK in the building. Slowly creeping in. That's right. President, you gotta hit the bell. You gotta subscribe and hit the bell. Highlight the bell. That will let you know anytime I go live. So that's a goody good. That's how we know you're not gonna get passed by. Don't forget, Cash App's up, PayPal is up. Send me some money. Okay, I hear you getting it in at the gym. That's what's up. Um, I I just there's a few things that are on my mind. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. Don't forget the phone lines is up. Anybody that's in any situation where they have a quandary or in an emergency situation, the telephone number's up 929-269-4922. Phone lines are open. I checked them. I'm hoping they're working. We'll see how that works out. Had a little problem with it in the beginning, but it should be okay. Let's see who else is in the building. Um, Something I wanted to talk about today is something that um I was thinking about uh this weekend, and just in terms of my own personal growth, thinking about um the importance of being honest with yourself, taking into consideration what's going on around you and accepting it, deciding the things that you can fix and moving on from it. It's an interesting thing because what I find more over than not is a lot of people is not they're not listening to this podcast. They're not on a personal uh, growth journey. They're living their lives day by day. Whatever comes at them, they're dealing with it on whatever level they can deal with it, and that's where they're coping. And I really realize that with myself, it's sometimes I get frustrated with that. I get frustrated with that because of the fact that that's not how I'm operating. Um, Everything that I do is at least I try to make it as intentional as possible. And sometimes I fall short, but even when I fall short, in the back of my mind, I know that I'm not really doing what I need to be doing. And because I'm not really doing what I need to be doing, I have not elevated or you know I've not elevated myself because I personally wasn't intentional. You know, and I realize the bottom line is when you're honest with yourself, you can't blame anybody else. So whatever happens, happens based on the decisions that you make. There are things that you don't have any control over. And if you've done everything in your power to control what your environment is, um, you're responsible for it. You have to be responsible. What I mean by that is, I what happens when you pay attention, when you shut up and you pay attention, when the whole thing is to learn to look at a perspective, a situation, figure out what what the best course of interest is, and then do that. Um, and if you don't do that, right, then and you're aware that there's a problem, and you're aware that you've done the analytics to figure out what decision you should make. You make those decisions, and then you just continue to do the same thing. You don't get to bitch about how it turns out. Um, and so that's kind of what my thought process is recognizing that somebody doesn't always have the capacity, or somebody doesn't have the desire, or somebody's just not empathetic enough, or they don't care. Whatever it is, the bottom line is you got to recognize who you're dealing with and how you're dealing with. J. G. Hosh Barnes says, "Hi Dante, I ran a train with my friend. He kissed her after. I spat in her mouth. I feel like he crossed the boundary. I'm a, am I wrong to feel this way?" Uh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't see it in the. So you spit in her mouth, and then she kissed him afterwards. I mean, and you're thinking, um, did he cross the boundary? Look, I mean, you're in this situation where everybody's getting loose, right? And he he's like he's rocking the way he wants to rock. I don't understand what boundary you're talking about. You're literally running a train on somebody. Um, if you have boundaries about where this is supposed to go, other than him grabbing your ass or kissing you, I don't see where you have a place. I don't see where you have an argument in this. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say you don't have an argument in this, what I mean is I just don't understand your argument. But it's not that I don't understand it. I can understand why you would feel um, weird about that, because you kind of felt like you was violating, and he's kissing her in the mouth. Right? But I mean, um, did y'all both go down on her? Was the question. I mean, did she blow you and then he go that? Then he kissed her afterwards? I mean, it all depends, man. I've seen, yeah, I've been in uh in in situations like freak off situations where people do what they're comfortable with. I mean, and as long as he hasn't crossed the boundary, um, in what your boundaries, about your personal boundaries, or that he didn't jack your dick or whatever, I don't really see what the problem is. Um, he just may be freakier than you. He just may not care. Um, I would ask this, J Host, is did do you think he violated in a way that he kind of felt attracted to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the question. I'll wait for you to respond back. I mean, because look, if a chick is, I mean, look, there's dudes that cuck, and like I've had situations where I've had sex with somebody's girl, and then the guy, like there's guys who I'm not. I can't say I experienced this, but where guys will come on the girl, and the guys will eat the come out of. I mean, it could get wild, but it's all about. I think it's where your boundaries are, and if you're in a situation like that, and that's how he acts, then you probably shouldn't have a train with him. I mean, I don't understand why you're offended because of what he did. He didn't suck your dick. He didn't try and kiss you. So I don't really understand. Um, so welcome, Dr. Monster Stroke. What's going on? Well, I'm glad you made it to the live. Uh, LK says, I've been, let me put this up. So wait a minute, let me just finish this up with him. J host. So I don't understand what your boundary is, and if you're going to be kind of weird about what those boundaries are, I think you have to establish those boundaries first, and you get to set. I mean, I think that's really uh his boundary, not yours, and you don't get to dictate how freaky he is. You do get to, and this is interesting because this goes to what I started talking about in the first place. You got to understand people. People do what they want to do when not solicited, or when the agency is not watching, or when somebody's going, well, you owe this to somebody, or some people do what they want to do. And what I have found is that you have to be honest with yourself. A friend of mine is actually doing something for the industry, and they didn't include me or invite me, right? Why? Because he didn't want to. Um, Now I get a chance. I get to decide why. I can either ask why, but to me it doesn't really matter. I mean, somebody people put up with you, or they include you because you're important. And if they don't include you, or like, then there's a reason. Then you get your answer. Now it may be it could be something as simple as somebody overlooked you or didn't consider you. But even that, I mean, when somebody's important, you make sure. It's sort of like if trying to think of an example. Here's the thing. Let's say I met Selma Hayek. That's my celebrity crush. And we exchanged numbers, right? And she said she was gonna call me, right? If she calls me, if she rings, if she butt dials me, I'm gonna call her back and say, "Hey, did you call me?" You know what I mean? Because this has a level of importance to me, you know. So be clear. I'm responding to her to even a butt dial in a way that says it makes it clear that her phone call is important, right? Because people ultimately do what they want to do. So if you and your man and some chick is hooking up and you spit in her mouth, and then leans down to kiss her, I mean, that's how he gets down, you know. If you're offended by that, here's the thing. I have a friend of mine who's homophobic, right? And he gets mad when gay men find him attractive. And let's be clear. I mean, not that there's a gay man that is how should I put it? Violating him or aggressively violating his personal space. He is mad when a gay man finds him attractive because he's uncomfortable with his sexuality in that way. People find what they find attractive. It's a visceral feeling. It's like it's the same way I like chocolate ice cream. If you ask me why I like chocolate ice cream, I could give you a bunch of adjectives of why I do, but the bottom line is I just do. To the same token, I hate mint chocolate ice cream. I find it disgusting. So why is that? It's just me interpreting comfort or not comfort. So when you're looking at this situation, I get that you're uncomfortable with it. Clearly he wasn't. And so the question is, would you have a threesome with him again? Would you run a train again with him? Or are you going, oh, this dude's a little freakier than I like, or he's a little freer than I like? Which you can absolutely, don't get me wrong, I'm not judging you. What I'm saying is life is a series of decisions, but you got to know what the parameters of the decision is. You could never hook up, you can never have any sexual relationship with a woman or anything else with him again, or you can. You know that if you do, and you spit in her mouth, or there may be something that sexually he's more open than you. So if you're uncomfortable with that, um, if you're okay, here's what J-Ho says. He says, thanks. Uh, he says, thanks. I guess I was uncomfortable with my action seeming to trigger it. It may have and it may not have. You know, I mean, he might have just been going for the kids. My point is, you get to be as freaky as you want, and he gets to be as freaky as he wants. You but to the same token, you get to go. Yeah, this is too freaky for me. You know, I'm a tap out on this. The funny thing is, I don't really, I've been really following the Diddy trial, right? And one of my ex friends, a little young dude who used to, was in the business the same time as me, is a particular guy this guy by the name of Punisher. Um, guys was cheating. I remember when guys were cheating him out of money, and I stepped up and like roughed up the promoter to make sure he got his money when he was like in his 20s, early 20s, 1920, something like that. He just testified in the Diddy trial. Y'all can look this up on TMZ. His name is Punisher, and he got hired for um I think 12 Diddy parties. He got paid and hired to strip at 12 parties. I think he also might have had got paid to have sex with Cassie. I'm not sure what it is, allegedly. Anyway, but some of my old heads, guys who don't strip anymore, were like, "Yo, he's trying to get a bag. He's trying to get, of course, exactly. He's trying to get a bag." But what I point out with was all of us having a group text, and they were shitting on this young dude because he's 50 years old and he's still in great shape. It looks like he looked when he was 20. In fact, he still strips, I think, on occasion. Um, but you can Google it. His name is Punisher, and he did like 12 parties for Diddy. Um, but I was in a group text with all my ex friends who strip with me, not ex friends, they're current friends, but they ex strippers. And I was like, if any one of us had gotten called for a Diddy party, right? And we had got paid to do it, we would have showed up. I absolutely would have showed up if the money was right and somebody paid me to come to the Diddy party. The difference would be there's a certain level of sexuality I'm comfortable with, and there's things that I'm not comfortable with. I'm not judging that anybody else can't, you can't do what you want. Not for me to say that. Um, but it's an interesting thing. I would have went to the party, but if I went to the party and there was kids there, yo, I'm tapping out. If there's dudes, fucking dudes, and it's like wide open, I'm tapping out. It's just not my thing. I'm not going. I mean, I may be in another room, but I'm not going to be in that room. And if we're talking about drugging people and uh drugging people and doing illegal shit or sex trafficking or drugging, yo, I'm not down for that. I don't want I never want to have relations with somebody who doesn't want to have relationships with me. So I don't get the power thing where you bend somebody's will into doing something. But it was interesting because my boys was talking about, they were just to be honest, they were all hating because nobody was hiring them old motherfuckers to do no party. They had passed their prime, right? Um, But it's easy to look at it on the outset of what I would have done. I know back in the days, if I had got a call to do, I'd have been at the Diddy party. The thing is, the illegal stuff, the stuff that I see is immoral. I think there's in sexuality, there's a thing that you're comfortable doing, and everybody's at a different level. Um, but and your level might be you might go harder than me, whatever. The point is, I'm gonna be. You gotta have enough confidence. You gotta have enough confidence to be confident with where you are. Confident saying no. Um, I this is my line, and I'm not uncomfortable there. You don't get to tell somebody else what that line is. I mean, unless of course it's you know it's criminal. Then I think you should stand up. But and when it's adults, consenting adults, everybody gets to get their they get to pick their line. Let me see. Give me a new girl. Emotions of date. Okay. I've been in a few relationships. Wait. I'm gonna get to LK shit in a minute. Hold on. Let me just. I got there around the train. Let me see. Okay. J Horse, thank you. I guess I was uncomfortable with my actions seeming to trigger it. Keen to hear Dante's take on LK's. Okay. LK, let me get to LK's question and start from the beginning. Uh okay. In the comments. Here it is. He goes, I've been in a few relationships. Let me put it up. Um and I don't know why you're sending it in the comments. The phone lines is open. It's much easier to just talk to you about this. So call in. I've been in a few relationships, yet I've recently become single. You ever feel like you just don't want to be in a relationship? As in a break, yet I don't want to lose the sharpened blade. Well, you got to understand something. Here's the second part of this. I know the work it takes to meet a new girl and go through the motions of dating. Uh, okay. Here's the thing. You get to decide. Um, you get to decide what you want. You didn't hear the Meek Mill audio, but that's Meek Mill. He didn't seem like he was fighting, so that's a whole nother thing. But I want the keeping the blade sharp is not necessary. I guess what I'm saying, okay, and I don't know why you don't call in the number. You know what? Fuck it. Call in, bro. This is ridiculous. Let me put the number up real quick. If you can't call in, I guess I don't know. Maybe might have said you're at the gym, so I guess I'll try and answer it. Since you're um, well, I missed the call. Call in again. The phone number's up. Let me see. So when you say you want to keep your tools sharp, you keep your tools sharp by laying the five bricks and just socializing. You don't have to go out on a date, although you might like. I understand you might not want to be in a committed relationship, but what you're in essence saying is, I don't want to be in a committed relationship with somebody who will give me a hard time. Uh, Big shout out to Xavier Karina. Thank you for the $5. The cash app is open, yo. Send me some money, y'all. Stop playing. Send me some money. You can't do this for free. Internet costs money. Um, but the sharpness comes in your ability to socialize. Your sharpness comes in your what you're doing now, which is working out. Your sharpness comes in you being the best version of yourself. All of those things are keeping you sharp, even if it's not directly dealing with your ability to socialize. But you should be laying the five bricks should be something that you do as a habit for the rest of your life. I'm not saying you got to lay five every day, but even when you still should be socializing. You still should be communicating because here's what happens if you stop communicating. You forget. once you forget how it is. You get an anxiety about approaching people. That it can happen to anybody. Anybody can get rusty. So it's just I just think you should always talk and be open and have an open sensibility so that you can meet people. This is how you make contact. This is how your life it happens in abundance. People meet you, you meet them. But if you're closed minded and just stay to yourself, how are you going to know what your horizons are? Always, the best way I can explain this is that I was a very introverted kid, but I knew. Big shout to Spencer Monroe. Thank you for the $10, bro. Thank you for the $10 on the Cash App. Thank you. Send me some money, y'all. Stop playing. Um, the but staying social is the thing that is the blade. The blade is not just going on a date, just doing this. It's the whole thing in its entirety. Um, it's okay if you don't want a relationship. It's okay if you talk to somebody and you decide that they're not worth your time and you don't want to go out on a date. All of those things this is the crazy thing. It's like it's really not for me to set to big shout to LK. Thank you for the super chat 9.99. Thank you. This is cheers. Dante, get a pin on me on the Patreon member. As well. He's a Patreon member as well. The best. I'll hit you up next time. Thanks, LK. Thank you, man. Next time, just call in. I'll be live on Tuesday, anyway, in the studio. But keeping sharp is all of it. It's laying the five bricks. It's working out. It's grooming. It's health. It's everything. It's under defining what job you want to have, and how you approach people. It's all those things. All of those things are the things that make you confident, so that you can a pint, my man. Thank you. I got you. A pint. It's from. Are you from the UK? Okay. Um, but all of those things are important. All of those things are the things that make you confident and outgoing, because you know that you're working on yourself, and you know that whenever you approach somebody, you have something to offer them. You have something to say. You have something to contribute. You have some way in which you're going to upgrade their life. That is what's important. Um, BAP says, "What's my opinion on dating apps?" Let me put that up real quick. The thing about dating apps is, what's my opinion on dating apps? Dating apps is an interesting thing. It is just has become a part of it's become a part of the lexicon in which we use in the way that we communicate. Oh, from the Northeast. All right, cool. Um, it is the way when we meet. I mean, there's technology. The only thing that you really have to remember is this. Um, you have to get off the app. I don't mean not participate in the app, but once you make a connection, you are supposed to exchange and then get off the next step is to get them so that you're texting them, or you're texting each other. And ultimately, the goal is to get them on the phone. It's a very simple concept. I mean, whether or not you're um, looking to be intimate or to be physical or nothing, but understand something. Um, Somebody who's not going to talk to you on the phone is probably not going to have sex with you. I know that sounds very obvious, but it's really not obvious to people all the time. Um, it really doesn't have to be a it really doesn't have to be potluck. It's not just you buy a lotto ticket and hope for the best. I mean, don't get me wrong. People have their own free will to make decisions and decide who they want to be with, but what you have to do is present a case. just like the person that you're talking to has to present the case for them. The problem is so often because of scarcity, because a lot of guys haven't had a lot of experience with women, or they don't have women breaking down the walls to get at them. Any girl that shows them interest, they're like, "Yeah, I'm in. Okay, um, I'm in, 100%. I'm in." And that is just not. That's just not what it should be. It should be more involved than that. Let me just make sure that the phone lines are working because I don't know. I'm make sure that they're ringing. Um, but the real thing is that you have to get to the point where you have a standard about who you're going to operate with, where you're gonna go. Who? Oh wow, it's not even showing up. It's not even ringing. That's weird, man. No wonder. Let me try one more time. Let's see if I'm seeing it. I see it on the screen, but I'm not. It's not making noise. Okay, it's working. All right. When you're living in a time of scarcity, right? You're gonna take anybody that shows you interest. You're gonna be yeah, because you don't have options. The whole point of laying the five bricks, the whole point of you bettering yourself, is so that you have more options, so you can decide who is worthy of your time and your energy. You know, that is what I think is most important. Um, that you have to. Yeah, this is weird. I'm seeing this call. Okay, there it is.
To
Oh,
accept, press
there it
1.
is.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name's Michelle. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
Hi, Michelle. How are you? Good to hear you.
Good to hear you too.
How can I
I'm
help
doing
you?
good. So I've been hooking up with a younger gentleman. He's 26 and
Okay.
I'm 41.
Okay.
Um, and we have kind of like a history. I used to work with him, and he approached me to ask if I wanted to go on a date with him. Like, this is like
Okay.
2 years later, and I said no. And then he did it again. I said no again, and then he kind of like disclosed to me about some personal information, the death in his family, and from there on out, like I returned back to my job because I work at a school, and I kind of was just been watching him, from a distance,
Mm-hmm.
and he grew on me, and then I asked him like, "Hey, let's go get coffee."
Mm-hmm.
So from there on, like we had a little affair, right?
Mm,
Love affair in the office.
okay.
And then what happened is because he's so young, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. He goes to his grave every year in Las Vegas. It's called EDC, right?
You go to the grave, you
And
said?
a grave in Las Vegas called EDC.
Oh, like the rave. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So when he goes, like the first time he came back, and we don't see each other often. I asked him like, "Hey, how was your experience? Was it fun?" And he proceeded to tell me of like the group of females that he went with and like how hot they were.
Okay.
And I'm like open to it, but it was almost I was building some sort of resentment at that point,
Okay.
and I didn't address it because it was in my home. He was in my bed. He was
Right.
disclosing something about other women, which was interesting because at that point, like he doesn't disclose any feelings for me at all.
Right.
He doesn't say nothing,
Does he say you're
and I
hot,
don't
or does he give you compliments, or no?
rarely. And I think, and I'm like, it's because he's really super shy. He has a lot of anxiety,
Mm.
or to be confident in talking about other people? Is this something that's hot to him? You know,
Let's get to the brass tacks. How are you okay with this, or are you not okay with this?
I'm okay with it if it's not in my house and it's not in my bed, because when I stopped talking to him previously, I was like, yo, like I would never go into your home and talk about another dude and his bed. Like that's disrespectful,
Yeah, but
and
you also would do that. You would not do that because it would probably crush him,
of course,
right? So there's a certain level of empathy and consideration that you would give him. Um, how is the sex bananas
yeah,
with
we have
him?
really good sexual, yeah, we
I-
have really
Is
good
it
sexual
is it
chemistry.
is it the best that you've ever had?
Yeah, so far, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Uh,
I'd say more to me.
okay, all
But
right.
you
So
know what? We have pretty great experiences, I have to say.
right, but I mean, but you've had great experiences before, yes or no?
Yeah. No.
No. Okay. Okay. And so here's
Wait,
o-
this is my problem
okay. Go
though.
ahead.
So he just recently went, you know, we recently got in contact again. Like I didn't speak to him for a year and a half, and then I contacted him because I really missed him, and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" We hooked up again, and he's off his way, and I haven't seen him since like April,
Hmm.
and I've been kind of procrastinating it, like canceling it,
Right.
and he was supposed to come through on Saturday last night, and you know what I did? I got buzzed, and I saw his text message, and I freaked out, and I was like, "Dude, like, I don't know what he did over there. It's none of my business. We're not in a relationship, but I can't catch anything. I do
Right.
use a condom. We do use a condom, but orally, like, it freaked me out. And
Okay.
I lied. You know what I said?
What?
I said, I am not going because me and my homegirls took tickets to Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
Nor was I at Kendrick Lamar's concert. I was at home, but, you know,
Right. But you're lying. You're
I know,
lying.
and I don't. The thing is, he's like, "That's cool." He was kind of short, and then he followed it up with the text message the following day, "Have fun, yada yada." And he's like, "Let's hang out next week." And I'm kind of here, like, because I don't like to lie, and I'm kind of here thinking, do I come out and be honest with him?
Yeah, I think you should. I don't think, and it has nothing to do. Here's the thing. It sounds to me like you like this dude more than you're giving yourself. You're being honest with about it, right? And
Yeah,
and the bottom line is, you lying to yourself is only going to hurt you, right? Now, it
yeah,
is very possible that he's 20 something years old. He's young. He's going to do what he wants to do. So you said you're 40, right?
yeah.
Okay.
41. I just turned 41.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, there's a certain wisdom that you have that he's just not going to have, right?
Yeah.
So even in your space, you gotta be honest about what this is. He's 20 years old. He's immature, right? He's
Mhm.
sometimes inconsiderate. He's also not. He also is not that into you either, and that's not because sometimes people are just not smart enough to know when they have something of value. You understand?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I have this analogy. I say, you ever see the Antique Roadshow?
Yeah.
And I always say, the show. If you describe the show, somebody finds a Tiffany lamp in the garbage,
Mhm.
and then they take it to the Antique Roadshow. They find out the lamp is worth $10,000. Now, I always ask people, what was the lamp worth when it was in the garbage? What would you say?
Nothing.
Um, Now, if I said this, what if I had $10,000 in a paper bag and I threw it in the garbage? What is the $10,000 worth?
$10,000 to
ten
somebody
thousand
else,
dollars.
or
$10,000 in the garbage bag, whether it's in the garbage or not, is still $10,000. So what my point is, the value of something is not diminished by somebody's inability to perceive the value of something. You understand? So you can't really take
Mhm.
that. You can't take that on personally in terms of it, where hurts your feel because sometimes people are just not smart enough to know. Um,
Mhm.
and you're dealing with a younger guy, which says to me you absolutely are. You're feeling him more than he's feeling you. He's immature, and this is what you're gonna get. So you got to be honest with yourself. He's showing you who he is. Now, when it comes to him telling you how pretty somebody is while they're laying in your bed, it's fair enough to say, "Look, I love that. It's fine. You can do. You don't have any, but I don't really want to hear it." You can say that. You know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's as simple as somebody's going down on you and they pop a thumb in your butt. You could go, hey, whoa, don't do that.
Mhm.
Or you could say, hey, put one of those, put another one in. You know what I mean? Like you get to decide the parameters of this, especially at 40 years old, and you know what you want. And if you don't want what he's selling, then don't take it. But if you take it, you got to be honest with yourself and understand that you are signing up for immaturity and inconsideration and young selfishness because that's where he's at.
I've come to accept that and realize that, and I'm at peace with it. I'm just, like, why am I like, I understand, I need to be honest with him
Yeah.
about why I canceled, but I'm like, am I honest with him via text? Maybe he doesn't want to come over, or,
No,
I
you
don't
just
know. I
call
don't
him up and
know.
say, look, it was this. I kind of just be honest about it all.
Mhm.
Tell him, yo, I like you. And it hurt my feelings when you were telling me I felt a little insecure when you were telling me how these girls were hot. Don't make the distinction because he was in your bed. Because y'all could have been in church and he said it. You would have felt the same way.
Right.
You're creating a scenario where okay, well this is just the road too far. When he can, the point is if you don't say I have a problem with that, he's not gonna know. You gotta sometimes we have to give people an opportunity to be better. And if you don't, if you don't say to somebody, you stepped on my toes, right? You don't give them an opportunity to apologize, you know?
Mhm.
And but you also don't get to be mad at somebody because they're not living up to your expectations. You have to learn to accept that. It's funny because that's what I was talking about in the beginning of the show. It's just understanding where other people are at, and you've been through more things. You're older. You're more mature. You've had more experiences. Um, you also kind of understand what you want, and you know your body, and you know what you like, and whereas younger guys are just figuring it out
Mhm.
and they're just figuring it out. But that's what happens when you deal with a younger dude. They're just not, and don't get me wrong, you got older guys who are inconsiderate, but you also get to say, "This made me uncomfortable. Could you not do that?" You can't
Mhm.
you can't play to not lose. You got to be open and honest about what you're looking for because otherwise you're wasting your time with somebody who's usually is not even gonna ever live up to whatever expectations you have. I always say relationships are really easy. You got to know what your non-negotiables are, and then never negotiate them. You know, but you got to
Mhm.
you got to be honest about your what those non-negotiables are, and you got
Mhm.
to stick with it. You have to have the fortitude and that's where credibility comes in. You got to have the credibility to say this is not sustainable for me. So I'm not gonna put up with this now because I know it's not gonna be okay later. You know.
Mhm.
Now, if you can overlook the immaturity and the selfishness and the fact that he's at a different place with you, or if you just want to, roll around and hang with him because the sex is good, just make that decision based on all of the information, as opposed to making that decision about I'm gonna like one of the things that I say is real game is no game, right? I
Mhm.
will never tell somebody do this to get your guy back or to get your girl back. Because if it
Mhm.
doesn't work and then you have to renege and go back on your word, now you look even worse because you were deceptive. And so this whole thing about this Kendrick Lamar lie, it puts you in a situation where it ultimately makes you weaker anyway.
I know. I know that.
So just call him up and say, listen, you know, on that Kendrick, I didn't, and then this is a good opportunity to get it all out. You go out, you know, you can say, look, I like you. Probably, I'm not. This is not. You don't even have to respond. I like you maybe more than you like me. But it's. I want us to hang out, and this is. I just want to be clear because it's important for me to be honest. For me, see, if you're lying, and the problem I think is also is that you're when we lie, the person who really is affected by that is us because it affects our self esteem. It affects our self worth because we know we're a liar.
Mhm.
It's much better if you just say, "Look, man, I feel a little funny about this. I felt a little funny. I'm kind of in my feelings." You never know. He might surprise you. He might say something. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I just, I just thought that things were so casual that we could kick it like that. And you go, well, I mean, I want us to be friends, but I like you, and what you say
Mhm.
matters, and that's okay to say that. You know,
Mhm.
if you're not gonna get mad because he don't fit into the, he's the square peg that don't fit in the round hole. That's the problem I have with women a lot of times is they have a preconceived notion about what they want, and then because you don't get it, or because they haven't explained it to you, or because you don't know, or you don't have the emotional acuity to figure out what they meant, now they're mad at you because you didn't read their mind. Make
Um,
Just make it
I'm
clear.
sorry. I know I'm getting better. I'm much better at that in general, not just with him, but in general. And my delivery is delicate. It's not, I don't accuse, I don't, um, I've been doing a lot of work on
But
myself.
you need you.
So,
I'm going to tell you something that what you really have to
mhm,
understand. You deserve to be able to be honest about what you like and what you don't like.
right,
You're worthy of that.
of course.
And when you when
You're
you
right.
are when you use these words like demure and this and that, that's
Demure.
all.
No,
Those are
I'm
all
not one of
words.
those people.
Those
I
are
don't have,
words that you use to not tell the truth,
I
or,
don't,
or to abstain from telling the real truth. I mean, if it's something harsh, it's going to be harsh no matter. I mean, the point is if you're honest and you're straightforward about it, then it is because no matter what there is, what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse.
right.
And so, and what you have to understand too is, and then maybe my perspective is different because I'm on the other side of the, I'm coasting downhill. You know what I'm saying? I've seen more sunsets than I'm gonna see. You know, and so I
Hmm.
understand that the real commodity is time.
Right.
And when we waste time by not being honest and upfront, right? We are
Yeah.
stealing time away. We're allowing other people to steal time from us.
Right.
If this goes to shit, trust me, it's gonna go to shit. And if you just want good sex and you want to fuck him and you're willing to deal with it on whatever level you're willing to deal with it, then he probably is. If you wanna give some pussy up, he probably that ain't hard to do. It's hard to give dick away. It's not hard to give pussy away. Somebody
Right.
will
But
take it.
I don't feel, I mean, I don't feel like it's going to go to shit regardless, however it ends. I'm pretty,
I don't
I'm
think so.
okay.
I
You
don't
know,
think it's gonna. I don't think it is either. But then be honest.
what?
I don't think it's gonna go to shit either. It honestly, it just
I mean, everything ends, but I don't think it's going to like drastically blow up. I'm not that
no, because
person, however it ends. But
I, I don't think he has the emotional acuity to even be offended by it. I mean, just from what you're saying. And that's not just because he's youthful. I have a friend of mine, one of my best friends. He is as shallow as a rain puddle. All he want to do is fuck and hang out and make money. And anybody who and he's really charming, right? So girls love him because he is that way, and they want more for it. But I have to tell him all the time, stop making people think you like him that much. Because you don't. He don't. He's very superficial, and all of his relationships are superficial. You know,
Right. Well,
and
I don't feel the only thing is I have to watch myself. Is this too long for you?
no, go.
Uh, he comes off very sweet and loving like a boyfriend, and I catch myself feeling like, do I have a boyfriend? And I have to catch myself like, no, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's
He's
a
a
good
kind
guy.
dude. I had this thing.
Hmm.
I did an interview with these women podcasters who do this relationship thing, and she was like, don't be coming over here fucking the shit out of me and bringing me flowers if you don't want a relationship. And I was like, so you're saying I can't be nice to you? Like I'm not allowed to be nice to you? If I want to buy you some flowers, I don't get to buy you no flowers. I can't. You know what I mean? Like it's no, because it confuses the situation. Well, if you're confused, you can ask me and I will set you straight.
That's true.
Because the bottom line is you get to you like you don't, if you ask somebody the question, then you don't have to interpret it.
Hmm.
You know. Now, if somebody lies, then they lied. Then they're a liar. You're still ahead of the game.
Yeah,
You gotta your problem is you don't value you as much as you value whatever this relationship is getting you.
that's true.
And you should. You deserve it just like he deserves to go to the rave and hang out with a bunch of hot girls. And you deserve
Of
to be
course.
honest and be with somebody who loves you and cares about you and wants to be sweet with you. And if he can't give that to you, then you can decide how long you want to stay there and how long you want to deal with it and how long you don't. You get to decide that. And
Right.
you get to change your mind. If you say it's good enough now and next week is not, you get to decide. Yeah, this doesn't work for me anymore.
Right.
You know, does that feel better?
Yeah. Thank you.
You deserve it. You do. And everybody
No,
in the
thank
chat, everybody that's listening, they deserve it. What you don't deserve is for you to make somebody do and dictate what somebody wants and how they want to respond. And the only way for you to find out if you fit, because the bottom line is we come from different upbringing and different cultures, and we're at different places in our life, and we get to dictate how our life is, and you get to dictate whether you want me around because of it. You know,
you. Hmm.
I have friends of mine that are heavy into conspiracy stuff. I don't talk to them anymore. I just
I do too. It's kind of fun. I
yeah,
understand what you're saying.
but if somebody doesn't want to know true things more than they know false things, I don't have time for that. I don't, I just, I'm not
I
I'm
do.
not
Yeah.
I'm not going to debate the flat Earth with you. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not doing it. Because what it
Right.
says to me is it speaks to a specific etymology about your whole personality, that you're willing to bend and let your feelings and not be dishonest, and you're not I mean, because that speaks to your credibility.
Hmm.
You know, I
Yeah.
I'm an absolute, like, I'm an atheist, right? And I don't tell anybody to be that, but it's only religion is a funny thing where it allows us. Like, if you if you ever thought, I don't care, I don't know if you're religious, and I'm not even gonna ask, but I will ask you this: are you Mormon?
No.
Okay, if you look up Mormonism, right, and what
Hmm.
they believe, you would go,
Hmm.
"This is bonkers."
Right.
that Indians were
But
made.
they look good though. They don't drink coffee. They don't drink nothing. And they look fantastic.
Yeah, they
Have you
also
noticed
think that,
and they know how to party, like
yeah,
not under the influence.
yeah. They also believe that Native Americans were made red so that they wouldn't be attracted because they're savages and they wouldn't be attractive to white people. So that's in there. They also have magic underwear that they read soups to read the tablet. You know, I mean, I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, but we tolerate this insanity, and then because we tolerate that, we tolerate this insanity in our politics, in our family life,
Right.
and the people, because
Right.
we give space for it. So I'm a
Right.
firm believer that we are in a political diaspora right now because of religion. And the ones that are not comfortable, we're not comfortable, there's something wrong with them. You know, when it's all of them, it's like, yo, you got the you like the dude with the beard in the clouds. It's gonna make it all better. You can't. I mean, if you look behind me, if you're looking at the live and you look behind me, man, I read my Black history. There's no way there could be a God, and a God would have allowed my people to be treated the way that they've been treated in this country. I do not believe that. So
I agree with you, and I completely agree with, like, if there's a God, then why are so many people suffering and children, are being, like, there's countries being bombed. Nobody's helping them. Why is there war? And then there's conspiracy. The money's not going to help these people. Like, how could God let something like that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean,
how could that be?
If you read the Bible, I mean, God basically created a genocide when he flooded the earth with the ark. Like, it stands. I mean, if that, if that's your morality, fine, but you can't make that morality for me. But I just want to say that you deserve to be able to be honest about what you want.
You're right, I do.
Okay.
I'm scared. Yeah, thank you.
All right, sweetness. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Come back, listen. We'll be live Tuesday. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Phone lines is open, y'all. 929-269. Let's see what's going on in there. Oh shit! What happened to the goddamn? It's my thing now. Oh, there it is. Let's see what's in the chat. There's always a moment where there's always this moment where I feel like that we have to make the distinction about what we want and what we want to make, what we believe is making us happy. And so there's another, I don't say this nearly enough, but there's something that I say, it's called reasonable, fair, and firm. Am I being reasonable about what my expectations are? Am I being fair with the other person? And am I being firm about my boundaries? It's a little acronym, kind of with ACE, is authenticity, credibility, and empathy. But reasonable, fair, and firm is once you're sort of a checklist in which I use to make sure that I'm not bugging, that I'm not out the pocket, acting crazy. Part of ACE is empathy. It's understanding what people are going through. And I've been in situations where I knew somebody wanted more from me. I couldn't give it to them, and they couldn't walk away from it. So sometimes you got to go, all right, well, we got to, we got to, we have to integrate all of it. But if we go to the principles, it always kind of pans out. What's up, Trixie B? I see you in the comments. She's saying, just tuning in. Oh, reasonable, fair, and subjective. Reasonable and fair are subjective. Yeah, but it is not subjective to you. You get to decide. You get to define what your life looks like. I mean, you get to decide what's fair. I mean, you know what's fair. You know what's reasonable. First of all, it's reasonable if you wouldn't mind doing it for somebody else. That's what makes it reasonable. Reasonable is that if the shoe was on the other foot, would I be okay with it? And just because you're okay with it doesn't mean the other person has to be okay with it. But it's a good guideline to see. Would I put up with this? Would I be okay with somebody treating me this way? And I think when you ask that and you turn it around and look at it for face value, I think most of the time you can come up with a sense of whether or not you're being reasonable, fair, and firm. So, let me see what else is in. Phone lines are open. See if there's anything else. In the curious. What happened? LK said, whatever happened to the dude with $250,000? I don't know. But I hope I helped them. If those who don't know, there's a guy who called in live who was basically had a girl, he had all his money in her name because he thought she was too dumb to do anything about it, and then he got caught cheating, being untrustworthy, and she basically took control of the bank accounts with 250 grand. And he called up, and I was trying to show him how, I was like, you really got to, when you're in this situation, you got to really, be sorry. I mean, with the problem with him also was that he was not a good dude. Like, he's like, I'm with this girl. She's on my dick. I have control over this. I'm going to do what I want. And she's too dumb to know any better. And then he was wrong. And it might have cost him $250,000. It was a interesting call. Interesting call. But phone lines are open. 929. Cash App is always open. Send me some money, goddammit. But it's funny because this is what I was talking about in the first place, was that you get to define the way your life looks. You get to, if you always use this example, if you want to live off the grid and eat bugs and berries in a cabin somewhere, who am I to tell you that's not what you should do? You got to do what makes you happy. What is DDG and Chloe situation? I'm not sure what that is. Let me Google it. Maybe there's something online. DG. I'm not sure what that is. If anybody knows what that is, DDG and Chloe. I'll just put it in and see if there's anything comes up. Chloe Bailey. What is this? Halle Berry, American singer and actress, in the news due to the temporary restraining order she obtained against her ex-boyfriend, rapper DDJ. Oh, okay. Who is also the father of her child. The restraining order granted in May 2025 requires DDJ to stay 100 yards away from Bailey and Halo at all times until further court hearing on June. Bailey alleges that DDJ has been physically, verbally, and emotionally and financially abusive. The restraining order also includes a provision requiring DDJ to avoid. Okay, so I don't know I honestly don't know the parameters of this to speak on this, but if somebody knows and they can explain it to me what allegedly happened. But I mean, she is saying that he was abusive, and I don't know if that's the case. I am a little what makes me a little bit weary is when we say financially abusive. I don't know what that is. First time dads, life rants calls up. He said, "What's up, Dante? Any advice for first time dads?" Yes, plenty of advice. First thing I think you have to do is I think a lot of times parents, especially first time parents, we have children and we see them as children. And I think what we have to see them as is what is the destination? Like what kind of daughter do you want to have? What kind of son do you want to have? When she's 25 years old, what kind of person do you want her to be? What kind of skills do you want her to be? What kind of person in general do you want her to be? And there's ways to kind of instill that. I mean, yeah, there's nature versus nurture, but I really think that when you expose kids to boundaries and limitations and stuff like that, it and discipline and it helps them to if they can't make their bed and pick up their toys as children, they're probably not going to balance their checkbook or pay their bills in time. Their credit is going to be all of these things. It's the little things. It's just like when I say in relationships, when you're in a relationship and things are going left. Never is a situation where I've had a consultation with somebody. Let me put that up real quick. Never had a consultation with somebody who has these complaints where they're bringing complaining about, oh, my wife does this, my husband does this, and there's never a situation when I ask the question, is this something new, or is this something that just it's just started all at once? And a lot of times, sometimes people will say, yeah, no, it just started all at once. It never just started all at once. It has always been something that has been going on, but because you were in love, because you were in the mood. Oh, real quick, if you need a consultation, one-on-one consultation, DanteNero.com, click on consult. It's on the screen. It's real easy to get me. Just go DanteNero.com, click on consult. There's never a situation where the behaviors of in the relationship may not been as extreme or as prevalent, but people very rarely change. People, it's not only that, but if the only time you really see people change is when there's this catastrophic kind of thing that happens that forces the change. Very rarely do people just wake up one day and go, hey, I gotta be better. It's just, it's not that. Smokey Robinson, what is this? I did not hear this, but I mean, that he graped him 2004 to 23. She's claiming that she was essayed and graped from 2004 to 2023. Here's what I would say to that. It's possible. One of the things that I noticed that I think is amazing, I think one of the main things with me is that I personally never wanted to be with somebody who didn't want me. Like, that just was never a turn on for me, to force somebody or to put somebody in an uncomfortable situation. So for me, I don't really get this whole thing, this ego tripping where you're going to make somebody do what you want. Oh, wait, real quick. I'm getting off track. To the dad question, you have to create the boundaries and create the person that you want them to be, not just look at them as a child who's just randomly. Your upbringing should be intentful. That was the point I was trying to make. So, I never really got that. When you're talking about Smokey Robinson, you're talking about men in general from that era, right? If somebody grew up, if all of a sudden somebody was taken out of the 90s or the 80s or the 60s and put into the time where we look at, in terms of how we have these boundaries in which way we should treat women with respect, and how consent and all these things are important. There was no conversation about this, and it speaks to the evolution of the women speaking up and fighting back, and just even as human beings, we socially becoming more and more we socially becoming our culture is evolving. So the I don't know. I mean, I try not to talk about it if I don't know I wasn't there, but it doesn't seem unlikely that some old dude from the R&B era that basically, there was no casting couch because the whole business was casting. Everybody was, doing it for sexual favors and stuff. And for him not to understand that, it's not far fetched. But to say that, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, and it's just I think that we are at a place right now where women can speak up and women could, which is what they're doing, and so I guess we're gonna find out. But it wasn't the mentality of us changing in the way that we respect women and don't assume certain things is changed. And as human beings, I think that we have evolved immensely, and that's changing, and that's a good thing. So that somebody called and asked me about the Remy Ma and the Papoose thing. Here's the thing. Remy Ma and Papoose was always it was like one of my favorite couples. Like she went to jail and he held her down, but I think when it comes down to it, people show you who they are. You see how quick it was before Clarissa Shields snatched her up too, snatched him up, because when you have that kind of integrity and that kind of reputation for being a stand-up guy, you ain't gonna be single long, because other people who have been through abusive situations and all kinds of stuff but they're looking for a dude that's got their back, that's down for them, like Pap was. I mean, Pap was really down for Remy, and as soon as Remy lost the weight and she started really looking smoking hot, and so I was like, I kind of called it. I ain't gonna lie. I was just really disappointed, but he seems to have moved on with Clarissa Shields, and she seems very happy to be with him, just to have a down ass dude. And I'm gonna tell you something: nobody don't want a down ass dude. Everybody wants somebody that they can trust in their life. I don't care who it is. And man, I mean, we want friends that we can trust. That's why man school is so important, because we as a listening group, as a fan base, as a people who listen to this content, are working to be better human beings. And by doing that, we become a commodity, whether you realize it or not. And it's not just about getting laid or this or that. It's a movement. Because I think all of these things, truth and credibility, has become such a bad word. It's just people don't care. But when they experience people with that, you realize how valuable and the camaraderie of it. Phone lines are open. If y'all don't feel like talking, I'm tired, so I have no problem shutting it down early. We've been on an hour and 20. I'm gonna give a little space for one more call, and then we're gonna shut it down. I got a lot of shit I gotta do tomorrow. But I think what happens is, when you're listening to the content and when you have a blueprint to operate and make yourself better, right? I think what happens is you become better, and then it becomes easier. You learn how to tell the truth. You learn how important it is to not lie and to be credible, to show up, and your word means things, and people treat you. But then what happens is the people around you who are not listening to the content, and who are not making an effort to be valuable, to be important to themselves. You see the problem, the self-esteem happens. I had this question asked to me several times: how do you build somebody's self-esteem? Yeah, Trixie, she was with somebody too, but he ended up being a nobody, kind of shady, clowny dude, whatever. Not really a righteous dude. So, but my thing is that what happens is you elevate and the people around you don't. And so this is the thing that I don't talk about a lot of time. It becomes lonely. Like being on this path becomes lonely because a lot of times there's nobody people don't operate on the same wavelength as you do. And you start to see people around you as low vibration. And then it also gets to the point where you're you don't have the patience to tolerate with other people's nonsense and how and so one of the things we have to do is we have to accept people for what they are. Now that doesn't mean that we have to keep them in our immediate space and have them in situations where they can affect us. Damn, somebody's calling, but I can't seem to. I don't know why it's not coming through. It's weird. Uh, there's a 973 number. Call back, please. Um, but what happens is that doesn't just because you forgive them and you give them space to be who they are doesn't mean that they have the worthiness of being in your space. Protect your peace. And people that are not worthy of your time and your energy, you have to eliminate them. And I don't care what their title is, because you have people that they're just vampires and they don't allow you to grow. Or if you are growing, it's always a burden. I have a friend who shall remain nameless. I won't blow him up, but good friend of mine. I've always had his back. But anytime he calls me, it costs me a meal, costs me money, costs me a ride, costs me gas, costs me patience. End up in a fight somewhere, or somebody or some nonsense. And so I just don't pick up the phone no more. It's easy to just be in a situation where you just don't pick up the phone. God damn, is this number missing? 917. Let me see if the number. I think somebody's calling. Let me see. Let me try this one more time. See if the line goes. I don't want. I feel like I'm shitting on y'all because the phones are not ringing, and it may be me. Let's see. Yeah, it's not coming up. This is weird. God damn it. Hold on. Let me shut this down and reopen it up. Let's see. Sorry, y'all, about the. It's weird. The phones. I kind of figured because I'm seeing a missed call on the phone lines after the fact. Let me see if we can get this up one more time. Yeah. Let's see one more time. Come on, let's go. Let's go. All right, let's see if it works. And then I'll make space. If not, I think we're gonna shut it down early. Let's see. Not coming up. Yeah. All right. Reset it. Okay. All right, phone lines is up. I'm gonna take one more call. If not, I'm gonna shut it down. That's you, Ahmed. There we go. Wait, there it goes. What's up? What's your name? Where you calling from?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hold on. Come on, man. Yo, what's your name? Where you calling from? Oh shit! Try again. It's working now, so it is working now. Ahmed, you can call back. I'll wait for your call. Wait, Janae. Hello? Hello? I don't know what. I reset it, so it should be working now. All right, here we go. Come on, man.
One. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello?
Yo, what's your name? Where you calling from, fam?
Hi, it's Ahmed from Bahrain.
Ahmad, what's
Dante?
going on, brother? How are you?
I've been well. I've been really well, actually. This is the best I've been.
What? Say again. I couldn't hear you.
I can't feel like in years. This is the best I've been in years.
Oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Yeah. My weight is going up. Back to the gym. Eating well.
It's good.
So, yeah. How are you, by the way? You told us at some point that you were going to the hospital for something related to your heart.
Oh, I had oral surgery. I had really bad oral surgery, so I was down, and then I was out in England and whatnot. But man, forget about me. How you doing? Let me just give everybody the background. Ahmed is in Bahrain. Ahmed is the person that I understand everything about arranged marriages and stuff like that, and I had to learn about arranged marriages and then kind of put myself in his position to help him, to advise him out. How are things going, brother?
They're good. During our last consultation, you asked me, or told me that next time I'm going to see someone, I should talk to you before that.
Yes.
So we're back to looking this time,
Okay.
and a family friend fixed me up with this doctor girl.
Okay. How old is she?
She's older than the last, 25.
Okay. And she's a doctor?
Yeah.
Is she studying to be a doctor, or is she already a doctor?
No, done already.
Okay.
Done.
Good.
Yeah, she's applying to the same program I'm applying to right now.
Okay, great. Now, have you met with her yet, or have you talked to her?
Met her yesterday, and it went really well. I'm waiting for their reply now, but I still wanted to check in with you.
Okay.
Same values as me. Values the same thing. Helping people. Why she wants to work, etc. What she prefers in family. All these things.
Let me ask you this: did you meet her parents? Did you meet her parents?
I met her parents, yes.
And what did you think of them?
I did not get the same feeling. I did not get the same feeling as I got with the previous one.
Okay, that's
They're
good.
not stuck up. I did not get that feeling.
Yeah.
There was no condescension. There was no airs that they were putting up. Very down to earth. They were interested, actually. The father, he actually spoke to me. He was asking about me, sharing about himself. Wasn't on the phone half the time.
Mm-hmm.
He picked the phone only twice, and it was his daughter's.
Right.
Just to go bring food for me.
Nice. Now let me ask you this: what's the relationship between the father and the mother?
Seems to be good. Seems to be really good.
Okay.
I did not see them together, but they just came, both of them, to greet us at the door.
Yeah.
And from what the daughter told me, the family is close-knit.
That's good. That's good. So let me ask you this. Here's a question. Do you see a stark difference between the relationship that you got, the marriage that you got out of, and the woman, the family, the relationship between? Because so let me just give me a second, Ahmed. Because I want to explain to the audience what the problem is. Is because it's really it's a very conservative Muslim community culture. And so there's no dating, there's no hooking up, there's no this. It's like you kind of it's arranged. It's like the families talk, and then you have a situation where you have a meeting with her. You have these questions. You have the questions that you ask, things that you want to be clear about and what's important and stuff, which is interesting because call me back, Ahmed. There's so much that you don't you everything is up front, but what happened was Ahmed specifically ended up with a woman who basically deceived him about who she was. And so it really was a dilemma for me to help him. Ahmad, you can call me back. The line's still open. Yeah. Let me get it. So it was a dilemma for me to deal with a culture that I wasn't
Ahmed from Bahrain.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Ahmed, you there?
Yeah, disconnected.
Okay,
for
yeah.
Some reason.
All right, so I was just explaining to everybody, you had to teach me about the whole arranged marriage situation so that I could help you safeguard yourself. And so what's interesting is why I ask you if you can see a stark difference between this family, this woman, her family, and it's because the perception was that, you did ask questions, and the girl basically just lied about it. But the caveat, the red flags were first in the relationship between the mother and the father. It's really important because you don't have a lot to go on. It's not like you're dating and you're hanging out, and it's not like you guys are going to live together. You got to make this decision, and you got to make the decision based on a very little information. So you got to, any of the red flags need to be Trixie said, I've been single so long, I'd take an arranged marriage.
They should try it. It's basically asking your friends to set you up on the date.
There's a whole infrastructure.
I told my friend, he told his aunt, and he told his friend's mother, who happens to be a matchmaker, and somehow they find me this girl, who's the matchmaker's relative.
But the problem, Ahmed, is that your whole culture is conservative, right? You can't have an arranged marriage and then go out in the club and then hang and hook up on the weekends. You know what I mean? Like it is a whole culture that has to be dealt with. And so one of the things that we talked about that I think is really important to recognize the relationship between the mother and father, because what we as children, we watch our parents, we watch how they interact, we watch who our mother is, and the woman who our mother is the woman that we see as womanhood, and we chase that even when the person is toxic. If we're a woman, if we got a shitty dad, if you're a woman, you got a shitty dad, you end up fucking around with the guy who your father is. And if you don't, and if the parents are single, or you got a single parent, you're subject to whatever's going on and whatever feelings get you to that point. What I'm saying is that what we came up with is a way for you to be extra careful, ask questions, be blunt and specific about questions, and anything that you feel uncomfortable about, that those questions need to be flushed out in a serious way. And it just really feels good to have you in such a good position, Amma, where I haven't heard you happy like this in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't heard myself happy like this in a long time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
It is good.
Because Ahmed married this horrible spoiled brat of a little girl who lied about who she was and misrepresented who she was, and then not only that, but her mother and father misrepresented who they were as well.
They were acting like lovebirds when I first met them. The entire lovebirds, like crazy.
And then the mother was a banshee, right? Ran the father's life and came at you, and you were like, there's problems. She blamed it on him, and so the mother never really the mother nor the father held this girl accountable for anything. So she wasn't accountable. She didn't want to be married. She wanted to do whatever she wanted to do, and Ahmed was cleaning and cook. It was just crazy and these are questions that you asked her before, and she yesed you to death, and then just did the opposite. But I think. Yeah. In retrospect, do you see that, like looking at this situation now, comparing it to the situation you were going through, can you see the red flags where you missed the red flags?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Number one, the feeling I had inside, like with that one, since the start, I had this, stabbing feeling inside me. I knew something was wrong,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't find the evidence for it in front of me.
And I think you were
Like,
also under a lot of
I
pressure. I
felt
think
it deeply, like something is not correct.
Yeah. And I think you were also under a lot of pressure from your mom and dad to move forward with this as well. So, there was that too. And I think what we have to understand is, look, this, our parents have their life. They have dealt with their life and made their choices. Don't let their acceptance of the decisions you make put yourself in a situation where you're unhappy about your own life because you tried to make your parents happy, because they'll be dead and gone and you'll still be with this nightmare relationship.
Not just that. At that point with my ex, when I saw her or when we went to see her, I was getting out of a very bad work environment, which wore me down over 2 years. It was terrible.
Right.
And a toxic relationship with another girl who was overly clingy. Just like I had to call by the hour or else she freaks out and would.
Yeah.
I won't get into it. Anyways, I was really worn down by that point, and I was like, oh, she looks like a bland, normal.
Because you had went through so much crazy. You had went through so much crazy shit with the other one.
Yeah, I couldn't have known.
Yeah,
she looks very bland, very normal. It's gonna be like that.
Yeah, and the one that you married was bland, but she just was selfish and didn't take any accountability. And so when you got on a level space where you were like, okay, we're in this marriage, let's make this marriage, let's make this marriage work. She was like, yeah, I'm not doing nothing. You do it. And every conversation that you had, I remember every conversation that you had with her, somehow she would turn it around and it would be your fault.
Yes, and this gets me to my next point. This is something that's really been bothering me, or that I've been worrying about. I've noticed that I go into rage fits whenever they're brought up, because like to the last point, I was okay. I was ready to leave in peace.
Right.
Like, just leave me alone. I want to go on with my life. But the things they did at the end, when they lied to my family, to themselves, to the father of the girl, and then the mother continued to harass me for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Because there's like a 3 months grace period that you can go back or something like that. So
what's interesting is she harassed you and never said anything about the daughter. She harassed you, but she never demanded her daughter to do anything differently.
Nope. She was like, "Oh, my daughter is waiting for you to come back." She's waiting for the initiative from you. I'm like, what initiative?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm not sure they understand how. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah. I'm the one who's done. I'm the one who's waiting for the initiative since the start of the marriage.
And here's the thing: the mother called. She didn't even call.
Yeah, no, she didn't speak to me for like a month before the divorce.
Yeah.
And then told her family that she was the one trying to fix the marriage, and I'm the one who got into a rage fit and just said, "Oh, I'm gonna divorce."
I want you to understand something.
I still.
No, go ahead.
I still feel anger when it's brought up, which bothers me. Like, especially with my parents. I was trying to explain to my mom yesterday about what happened, and she would just shut me down and tell me, "Oh, don't speak rudely," and would start giving me a lecture about using bad words.
Yeah, listen. If you're looking for, it's funny because when I started this live, the first thing that I was talking about is understanding what people's, what they're capable of doing. Your mother is just not going to be capable of thinking emotionally to the emotional depth that this is important, and it doesn't matter because it's not her life, man. It's your life. And it's just like I was saying to the young lady earlier, I was like, you deserve this happiness. Look, there's always going to be problems in relationships, but you deserve a level of happiness. and you get to ask for it, and you get to, and if it's not what it is, you get to leave and not put up with other people's disrespect and abuse.
Yeah.
And it, a lot of times I think that has to be said, because I think a lot of times we don't believe it. We honestly don't believe that we deserve it, and so we put up with the same nonsense over and over and over again, and we settle for less, you know. So, man, I'm
Mm.
really happy for you.
And this is what talking to you helped me with. This is
Man,
what
I'm
talking
glad.
to you helped me with.
Man,
Like,
makes
it
me
really
feel.
helped me see this.
And I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm gonna, full disclosure, I was really nervous about consulting with you, and I'll tell you why.
Mm.
Because culturally, I had to I know what the principles are for a good relationship, right? I know what the principles are for self-esteem and so on and so forth, but the culture
Yeah, it's
is
universal. It's
is
universal, regardless of
it's so vastly different. You still got to figure out what lines up with what. Like, how can you, like, I would tell a guy in a minute, man, live with somebody and find out if y'all can get along. But when you have a conservative culture, Muslim culture, that's not possible. I would say, yo, date a while. Even if you're not gonna have sex, date with. There's no dating. So it's like, how do you facilitate? You got to have these conversations, which means you really have to be. You got to shut the fuck up. You got to pay attention to the details. And when something feels wrong or inconsistent, you have to not just brush it off like it's okay. Because what I'm realizing is it is all a symptom. I used to have this saying, I would say, you don't have to eat a whole birthday cake to know that it was made with rotten eggs. All you need is a spoonful. And what we have to do, especially because it's a limited content and it's a conservative culture, you have to be able to be really precise about who you pick and how you pick, and any of the red flags that pop up, they need to be amplified, and they need to be really dissected so that you don't make those mistakes again, man. I'm really happy for you, man. I hope this works out. But if this doctor chick doesn't work out, just do not be so anxious. I'm almost glad that you're angry a little bit, because it'll make you more cautious. Okay?
Yeah, I'm just afraid that this anger would affect the relationship in the future.
No. You don't get to take it out on her, man. That we don't do that, because then you become the problem. You understand?
I know. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, you don't have to worry. You just don't do it. Just don't do it. She had nothing to do with this awful person.
Yeah.
She don't look like her. She don't have the same mother. This is a different time. This is a different woman. This is a new. You have to give this. If you really want, you got to make up your mind. You want to be married. You want to have children. You want this. Give it the opportunity and the energy that it's worthy of. You know.
I'm probably not going to do anything to bother her or hurt her because of the previous marriage, but it's just the complaining, because no one is listening to me. Maybe a few guy friends of mine.
I'm here, so we can figure it out. But I mean, you have to speak up, and you have to make that clear, and you need to let her know that this was hurtful. Be honest and open about this. Because here's the thing. If you're honest and open about somebody hurting you in a way, a lot of people don't want to do that because they don't want to seem vulnerable. But by letting them know, it's I don't give a fuck who you are. If somebody says, don't hurt me, and you do the exact same thing that the last motherfucker did, you feel guilty about it. So it gives you an incentive to not be the same way. Now, they might hurt you in a different way, but usually they won't hurt you in the way that you were open and honest about it. So have that conversation with her, and be clear about who her mother was, and that they were deceptive, and how she and be clear about the fact that you were willing to make compromises, and that you're apprehensive about this, but you really want a good relationship, and that you really want somebody who you can count on, and that they can count on you, and you need we need to be able to talk. And if we can't talk, then that's a problem. And you know, and if you know, make it clear to the parents as well. You know, this is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And don't bite your tongue.
I did actually verbalize all of that.
You did.
I accept the part that the ex was a total bitch.
Yeah. You don't have to do that. You don't want to do that. But you need to.
Yeah, I just told her she didn't want the marriage, and I told her that there's nothing by force. And
yeah, but
the
girl who you need to tell her that you were deceived, and no matter what compromise you tried to make, you were deceived, and her mother kind of emboldened that behavior. Okay, I'm not.
All right. I'll do it the next time we see her, if we see her.
All right, brother. You know how to get me at DanteNero.com.
Right,
click on consult if you need me, bro. We'll figure it out. Okay.
Of course. Thank you, Dante.
All right, brother. Later. I'm so happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Real quick before we go, I'm going to shut this down. But before we shut this down, Shinobi, get a consultation. I'm looking at your statements. Here you go. One here, you said, I'm at a point where I just want to check out of dating. I'm at a point where I just want to check out of dating. It seems to be extremely pointless nowadays. I always feels like I'm going to be replaced by someone better. You get a consultation, or Shinobi, call me on Tuesday. Call in on Tuesday and we'll talk. If you can't afford a so we can dig into this, because this is clearly what you're saying to me is a self-esteem issue, and that you've gone through some stuff that's really kind of flipped you and put you in a situation where you feel that there's no hope. So if I could be some help to that, I would love to do that. So Shinobi, I'm going to shut it down today, but Tuesday we'll be live at 8:00. Make sure you call in. I want to talk to you. Okay. Real quick, GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolution being podcasted. Yo, I love y'all, man. Thank you, man. It's so good to hear from Ahmed. And so good to hear from the sister who's, you know, man, we deserve this happiness, man. All of us do. So let's work at it. All right.